raise a glass to all of the folks on the front lines, people that are affected by this or helping others not be affected by this so much. So um, I'll start us out. I got a call last night that my dad had fallen and broken his hip.
Mm.
And, you know, the idea of him going to a hospital when,
Yeah.
he's 80 and,
Mhm.
having to go deal with that. So I would like to raise a glass to the surgeon who worked on him today and all of the people that maybe not even dealing with COVID-19, but are
Yeah.
still having to work in a hospital in places where, um, the danger of that is got to be ever present, and they're still going to work, and still the physical therapists and all the people that are going to be involved in helping him recover,
Mm.
and also just to my dad to be
Well,
going through this and being brave. So cheers to dad and all the people
here's
helping him.
that now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, um, I was thinking, who am I going to toast to? Well, I want to just give a little shout out in the form of a toast to my friend Dan Russell, who's a lot of people in the U.S. will know, um, who had a stroke recently, who's dealing with some major stuff like what you're describing in a way for your dad, except uh, it's. I mean, he's confronted with that same kind of hospital versus COVID-19 situation. Um, but beyond that, I'd like to propose a toast to the garbage collectors.
Hmm.
And there's
Hmm.
all of those support. I mean, them as representative of a whole vast, you know, range of people out there doing those kinds of jobs that have to get done, and they're taking the same chances that everybody else who's confronting this stuff is taking. So good on them, and so here's to them.
Here,
Here's to the
here.
garbage collectors and to Dan Russell.
Yeah.
And Dan was a champion of the late singer-songwriter Mark Hurd, who I know you
He
were a
was very
fan
much.
of and friend
Yeah.
of. And
Yeah.
so if everybody listening hasn't discovered the music of Mark Hurd yet, you should go check that out in honor of Dan
Mhm.
Russell. All right, Matthew, you're joining us from the UK, from Cambridge.
Yeah.
Who should we toast?
Well, I would love to, and Bruce, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Really lovely. And it was so weird because I was watching it and then on a different computer, and then when you came in, I was like, is this live? Anyway. Well, I've been thinking, I mean, there's so many people, and what I've been thinking about today is the parents of kids who are old enough to have an idea of what is going on. And I I think of those parents and what they have to do to preserve the joy at home while absorbing what's happening outside, but also protecting the joy for their kids. Um, I was talking to our manager today, who has who has a lovely boy. My wife and I have a toddler. He's too young to really know what's happening, so he's just delighted to have us home all the time. But it goes out to, so I just want to toast the parents who are riding that fine line of being cheerful inside the house while seeing what's going on outside. So here's to you.
Cheers to you.
For that,
Yeah.
I'm going to join you in the drink, but I'm kind of toasting myself.
Right on.
But
Absolutely.
there's lots of people in that boat, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well, Bruce, thank you so much for joining us on Happiest
Harry,
Hour. That was
thanks for having me.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Nice talking to you, and nice to meet you, Matthew.
nice to meet you.
Okay. All
Take
the
care.
best.
Yeah.
Bye, Bruce.
Bye.
Hey,
So,
Josh.
Matthew, it's
Yeah,
a little bit later where you are than where I am.
yeah. It's a drink appropriate 10:30.
All right. Well, it's 5 o'clock here, so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, so that means toddler is in bed, and
Yep. I'm
um,
upstairs on the third floor in a peaceful room, and my wife claims she can't hear me when I'm singing, so I'll choose to believe her.
well, we're glad to have you here with us and have you able to play some music and not wake the
Yeah,
kid. So that's good.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
So you have a new album, new Not a Surf album, Never Not
Yeah.
Together, which I feel like the world was testing that theory of that album title a little bit. But I do
Mm-hmm.
love the idea behind that we are really all in this together. And even now, when we have to socially distance, can you talk a little bit about the idea behind this album of Never Not Together?
Well, it's about perspective, really. Lots of things can lead you there. I read that the astronauts on the moon landing, I think I said this recently in an interview, so I'm repeating myself, but the astronauts on the moon landing um, looked up and saw the Earth in the sky and weren't psychologically prepared for that because it put everything in enormous perspective. Like, oh, well, we've gone to this effort to come here. We need to figure that out. And I mean, the notion behind the title, it's naive, but like a lot of cliches, they're rooted in fact, and it's just true. If you look at trees, for example, at a distance, say you're driving through Pennsylvania or something, they all look the same, and yet they're all different, right? So we feel so different from each other, but we're really not, and there are only that many you know character types and emotions, etc. And I don't know, it's like what Bruce
Hmm.
was saying, love thy neighbor. That should be our imperative.
Absolutely.
It's not, but a lot of us get there, and we can help each other get there by
Hmm.
showing that you can rise above your own desire by thinking about others' needs.
Well, I love that idea, and I love the way that it comes through in so many of the songs on this album.
Thank you,
Um,
thank you.
you guys, so this is ninth album. You're about to take off on a world tour and support it,
Mm. Hmm.
and now you're home in Cambridge, England.
Yeah.
So, um, are you able to connect with the rest of the band? Do you feel disconnected? Do you feel like you've got your people around you virtually? How are you guys doing there?
We're doing okay. We Daniel and I, the bass player, we talk a fair amount, and we've always kind of, after tours, we kind of retreat to our corners for a few weeks or a couple of months,
Hmm.
But the way bands are, especially if you've been together for this long, you're just totally family. So there are memes around where it's like a guitar player and he's like, "Oh, I have to stay indoors." What? That's what I've been doing for 40 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so in some ways, it's not that different. We're doing okay. I'm just very, very grateful for you. We're near a park that we're allowed to go in. That's incredible. I know a lot of people don't have that, and I really, it's not lost on me how lucky I am. And I think I had the virus. I lost my sense of smell for a week. And that's weirdly a tell, even though
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
sounds so innocuous. So if that's true, then that would be lucky as well. But of course, I can't let my guard down, and I still have to take every precaution for everyone's sake. But no, I'm doing all right. One of the songs I'm gonna play, an old song called "Happy Kid," in part because it's about kind of being split between being happy and being sad,
Hmm.
and I feel like this whole experience, for a lot of people, must be a kind of uh, what do you call it when you take your hard drive and you split it into two hard drives within it?
Oh,
Partitioning.
partitioning. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Partitioning your hard drive, yeah. And you know of we're still laughing, but it's so sad out there, and there's so many vulnerable people, but you still have an inner life that's separate from that, the way you have an inner life separate from everything.
Hmm.
I was reading today about the plague and the bubonic plague and the Black Death, and I had an epiphany, which is that how you sort of feel like the past is in black and white, even though you know it's not, but it's
Yeah.
it's kind of automatic thing. And then you see color photos of World War I, and you're like, oh my god, or World War II. Maybe there weren't, but there were some. But you know, when you see like New York in the 30s in color, it's shocking.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how just the term "the Dark Ages," you know, makes you think somewhere in the back of your mind that it was a dark time physically, which it probably wasn't. I mean, there were more clouds for some reason I can't remember, like because of a volcano or something. But it wasn't. And during the Black Death, life went on. And what was interesting about it was that it was like a wake up call of that happened then and it's happening now, and we're the same world now that we were then. In other words, there's no rehearsal, and this is really real. And I think for a lot of us, you know, part of you stays adolescent and like you're still, even at whatever age, still kind of practicing for when you really get it together the next year. There's all kinds of delayed start, and there's something kind of moving about thinking how connected we are to people hundreds and hundreds of years ago who were going through the same thing.
Absolutely. The Black Death rolled through your town and you didn't have any warning and you never experienced anything like it before. So, I mean, it's just life was going on, and then there was this thing, and that's what we're all dealing with right now.
Yeah, and also reminding you that like history happens, and therefore if we let something happen that we have any control over, be it climate change or a political drift or whatever it is history happening now. And therefore, if we can do anything about it, we have to try and rewrite it now.
Yeah.
You know, it's so obvious to say, but I think every chance there is to kind of shake you a little, either out of complacency or to shake your blinders off, you know, to just see a little more. And I need that all the time. And so just reading today about plagues and it hitting me in a way that it hadn't before, like, right, this is a plague, those were plagues, there's no difference.
Yeah.
It's just something historical happening again, something huge.
It is. Well, let's hear the song.
Yeah. Sure, yeah, Happy Kid. I'm gonna stand up because I feel like it, because I'm sitting all the time in my house. Just a happy kid, stuck with the heart of a sad punk, drowning in my ear, always hungry like I'm on junk. No matter who I hang out with, I can feel the black cloak of the chains that pull the cars up the roller coaster, mountaintop so high. And when it comes down, it shoots back up, straight back to the sky. I gotta laugh and then I'm asleep and then I walk around and wanna cry. Out at night to do the strand, the little candles make the bottles glow. Got ink all over my right hand, getting crushes with no chance to grow. It's like I'll never ever land. It's always too much sun or too much snow. I get slow days, no days. I get rusty and it's hard, but I get notions. The oceans are coming to my call. Learn to get along. You can learn to get along. You can learn to get along. You can learn to get along. I get slow days, no days. I get rusty and it's hard, but I get notions, the oceans coming to my car. I'm just a happy kid, stuck with the heart of an old punk, drowning in my ear. I'm always hungry like I'm on junk. No matter who I hang out with, I can feel the black clunk of the chains that hold the cars of the roller coaster. Mountaintop so high, and when it comes down, it shoots back up, straight back to the sky. I gotta laugh and then I'm asleep, and then I walk around and wanna cry. I'm just a happy kid. I'm just a happy kid. I'm just a happy kid. I'm just a happy kid.
That is fantastic.
Thank you
So
so much.
I can't tell you how much this is feeding my soul, and judging by the comments here, I'm not the only one. So thank you so much for doing this.
Right on.
Tell us about the new album, recorded in Wales. What made you go there, and sort of gathering the troops? I guess a little closer to you now, but
Well, that was a kindness on the band's part because we have such a young child that it's not great for me to be away. You know, I love touring, but I don't have to be out of town to rehearse. So they came here, which was great. But the other reason is that it's a place I'd read about for so long. I'd seen it on the back of records. It's on, notably, I mean, it's on a million records were made there, and it's most famous for Bohemian Rhapsody. But the first 3 Echo and the Bunnymen albums were made there, and Shake Some Action by the Flaming Groovies, which is a record I really love. And then a friend of mine, Tom Shad, was in a band called Dump Truck a long time ago, and they made a great sounding record called For the Country there. But there's so many others, Motorhead and Damned, and and 2 giant Oasis albums were made there. There's a wall outside, which is the Wonder Wall that Noel sat on, and they had him record the acoustic.
So in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, did they film it at the actual studio? Do you know?
They built a kind of a replica
of
a version of it that doesn't really exist because they wanted a particular barn look, and it's not a barn. It's an old carriage house. It's not as big as it looks in the studio. Okay,
I was curious. Have I seen the studio actually? But no. Okay.
No, but there's a documentary coming out about it, and the man who produced the record, Ian Lawton, had worked with Ash there a long time ago, and he was when we were talking about making the record, he kept saying, we just have to go there. It's magical, and sure enough, it was. There's something about it. It was the first residential studio ever built, and the house, you record in a particular place, and then 200 yards away is the house that was built for bands to stay in, and it's a huge living room with a fire pit in the middle and 8 rooms around it, 8 little rooms around it. So it's just made to hang out in. It's great, amazing.
That's great, and well, I'm glad you had that time with the band. Now that you're kind of all separated, so you're going to play something from that record today?
Yeah, this is called Just Wait. And it's really about thinking about what it would be like to be young now. Because even pre this modern world and pre-internet, etc., it was enough just to enter into adulthood that you were eager for it to come, but also you weren't, and you wanted to grow up, but you didn't. And it's kind of overwhelming. But now I just can't imagine, with everybody putting their lives where you can see them, the standard for what must seem exciting or accomplished is so much greater. And there are modern problems. And it's the second time I say climate change in this one live stream, because it's such a big thing, and I can't imagine what that would feel like being young. Anyway, I wrote it with a guy called Gavin Slate in Nashville, and it just feels appropriate to the time because, you know, if you're young, you have to learn to be patient and let life happen at its own pace, and we all have to learn to be patient and let this happen at its own pace, whatever that is. And I know that's hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for everybody, but we can do it. So here we are. Just wait. Let's see. You hear that? Okay. All right. Millions of souls, they're young and they're old. I'm here with you and we've got something to lose. Slow down and see where it goes. 'Cause when it feels too big and you can't find your place, you got too many choices. Are you the only one who doesn't know their way? There's too many noises. You're gonna be just fine. Might take some time, but you gotta know it's gonna be okay. Just wait. Just wait. We're hollow and stressed, the worst and the best. They say you get just one try, but that's just a lie. It's a long life. Time doesn't fly when it feels too big and you can't find your place. You got too many choices. Are you the only one who doesn't know their way? There's too many noises. You're gonna be just fine. It might take some time, but you gotta know it's gonna be okay. Just wait. Love and work and where you live and what you take and what you give. Love and work and where you live, what you take and what you give. When it feels too big, you can't find your place, got too many choices. Are you the only one who doesn't know their way? There's too many noises. You're gonna be just fine. It might take some time, but you gotta know it's gonna be okay. Just wait. Just wait. Millions of souls, they're young and they're old. I'm here with you and we've got something to lose. Slow down and see where it goes.
Thank you so much. I think we could all use a song like that right now. So that's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Matthew, the last thing we do on this show is I'm curious what piece of art, whether it's a book, a TV show, another album, is speaking to you right now or keeping you entertained and distracted and sane.
Well, what's keeping me sane is the music I've been listening to for the last couple of years, which now is more and more grounding, is just Brian Eno,
Hmm.
ambient music. A lot of his long pieces, like Thursday Afternoon, one called Neroli. You know, it's like 40 or 50 minutes of a space that can really help you slow down. And I'm a little ADD anyway, um, but there's a baseline of anxiety now that is kind of new. You know, even if you're not thinking about it all day, there's this kind of, I feel this little bit of something,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
because you can't think about it all the time. And of course, there's not a lot you can do right now. You can, you know, you can try and help people, but there's nothing much you can do about the big picture. Um, but it's there, and so that's been helping to hold it down a little bit and give me a little space. Um, so that, and then I'm reading a wonderful book by a guy called Richard Powers. It's called Overstory, and it's about trees and uh, how incredible they are. They communicate with each other. You know, they can share water when there's a fire. Um, Amazing stuff. And I'm reading it very slowly because even though we're just home, I'm having kind of long days. So I read 2 pages and I fall asleep. Um, but yeah, those are a couple of things. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. And
Yeah.
thank you for joining us today and for the music. That was fantastic.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for
I also
having
want
me.
to thank our viewers and especially those who are given to the COVID-19 Relief
Mm.
Fund.
Hmm.
Um, that is just warms my heart seeing these little donations popping up as we're talking. So thank you, Matthew.
That's great. Thank you so much, Josh. I really enjoyed
Uh,
myself.
Take care.
Uh,